UCLA.
With USC great and NFL stud Frosty Rucker.
The Trojans back in front.
And LAFB founder Ryan Dyrud on the Believe Podcast Network and LAFBnetwork.com. This is your destination for Los Angeles football.
What's up, LA? What's going on, Los Angeles? Thanks for tuning in. This is the LA Football Show. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud. We are live on LAFB Network's YouTube channel and always on Fridays on AM the Mightier 1090. Thank you to all those that are tuning in. Hope the commute is going well. Hope the week was great and excited for the weekend. I'm sure many of you are. That's when my work week really ramps up, I feel like. But for those of you that work the regular 9 to 5 grind on Monday through Friday, happy weekend to you. Happy holiday season. It's crazy. Christmas is like, what are we? What are we on? The 10th? Christmas is 15 days away? Insane. As I kind of teased last week, the week of Christmas, I'll be dropping my power rankings of Christmas movies. Christmas is my favorite time of year. Love Christmas movies. I think I've watched like 30 already, which is insane. I started November 1st. So I'm a bit of a nut. Christmas nut. So week of, though, I'll do some power rankings on my favorite Christmas movies. Would love to hear from any of you, any Christmas or holiday traditions that you have this time of year. I love hearing people's traditions. I know my buddy Dan, they do, Christmas cookies, certain movies people watch, certain events they attend, whether it's, light shows or decorations they put on their own home, when they get their Christmas trees. Anything. We'd love to hear it. You can comment below if you're listening to a podcast platform. Hit the comments on YouTube right to your right there. Or if you're listening on radio, hit me up on Twitter at Ryan Dyrud, LAFB. Show is brought to you by the LA Football Network, the Believe Podcast Network, and my friends at TickPick. Any of you attending events, specifically games. I mean, Chargers play the Giants this weekend. That's what this episode and show is going to be heavily about. It's hard to call it a big game because the Giants are so bad, but it's a big win, hopefully coming for the Chargers as they continue their quest for the playoffs. But any events you attend, so this Chargers game, concerts, anything, our friends at TickPick, it's a new ticket, marketplace, similar to like a Ticketmaster or StubHub, but the catch, not really the catch, the beauty, the easy sell is there's zero fees. So, you go to StubHub, you find your tickets like, oh, okay, cool. $40 a pair, $80 total. Well, then you get to the checkout and you got $40 in fees. TickPick has zero fees, especially when you use my link. It's just tickpick.com/LAFB. Super simple. TickPick, TickPick.com/LAFB. You're going to the Chargers game at SoFi this Sunday. Don't have tickets yet. You know where to get them, tickpick.com/LAFB. Hit us up. We will have people there. I myself might be in attendance. Still debating. I don't have a sitter yet for my daughter. So we're seeing if I'm going to just, brave it and bring her with and see how that goes. She's due for her first game anyway, soon here. Is 18 months too young? Is 18 months too young? Does that make me terrible? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. I think she'd be fine as far as, people and noise. I think it's more so she's all over the place. That's all she wants to do is run and be free. I don't think she would sit on my lap for 3 hours. I'd end up being just in the concourse all game, so I wouldn't even really get to watch it. So we'll see. But anyway, if you're going, let me know. Love to see you there if I end up going. But yeah, tickpick.com/LAFB. So today's episode, going to be heavy Chargers going in this game. I did, if you don't know, programming note for the LA Football Show, I have now kind of moved more live platform. We're doing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live at 5. So I'll be on AM 1090 The Mightier every Friday. And you can find me Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on our YouTube page at LAFB Network. That's how you find that. Make sure to subscribe when you do. And I'll be there every day at those days at 5 live. So we did a Rams great interview with Darren Urban, who is the Cardinals team reporter, works for the Cardinals in the building, knows the ins and outs of what the Cardinals are doing this year. So on Wednesday, we had him on the show. So if you're interested in that, check that out. Today, though, I'm going to be joined by my good buddy, Tino Rodriguez. He's the executive producer for the FTN network. and he is a long time suffering Giants fan. So we had him on actually when the Rams played the Giants earlier this year, and so now we get him back for this Chargers-Giants game. So without further ado, let's just get Tino in here. All right, Chargers fans, let's get into this Giants-Chargers preview as the 4-8 Giants travel out west to play our Chargers at SoFi. My good buddy had him on the show earlier because the Rams traveled to East Rutherford to play the Giants early in the season, and now the Giants come out west to play the Chargers. My man, Tino Rodriguez, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
It's going. That's the best way I could put it. It's going. I told you I am excited to come on here and give another somber-toned preview for the New York Giants versus an LA team. Those of you who listened to that episode knows I wasn't too far off. I thought I was still trying to sugarcoat it, and it was not enough. The Giants got smoked by the Rams, so hopefully a better result this week. At least keep up a competitive effort. Let's put it that way.
I didn't think I'd get the honor of having you on twice in one season, and I think LA fans are going to start to like you because you predict against your Giants. So I think they'll be like, this guy's good to come on. This guy's good.
I don't know
what's the weather like
who
out
predicts. There? I was going to say, who predicts for the Giants? I don't know. You said predicts against them. I mean, listen, I'd love to even take them to cover this spread, but, maybe if Jake Fromm was playing, but it seems like Mike Glennon just does not want to go away. He does not want to go away, and he's back this week. The weather's all right. It snowed yesterday. It snowed a little bit yesterday.
Okay. I only asked because it's finally winter in LA. It's like 55 and rainy out here today. Wow. It's like finally winter's here, December, whatever we are, 15th. Whatever date it is, and winter's actually here. It's great.
When was the last time you went to the beach?
I think I went last month, actually, November.
Nice. That's
yeah.
I was wearing a winter coat last month. Even though it's
spoiled.
December.
Yeah. What's funny though is, and I'm the biggest culprit, is I get sick of the heat. I'm like, dude, it's freaking December. Like just last week was 85. Just last week, and I'm like, man, it's December. Can we get into like some? At least I want to wear a sweater every now and then. But then you talk to everyone else like, are you kidding me? You were at the beach last month, and I'm like in my doldrums of my basement, like huddled up by the fire.
Well, it's always like, I'm the same way. You can always get warmer, like when it's too hot, it's like I'm bearing sometimes.
Yeah, it's December.
It's like Vegas hot. Like I've been to Vegas a few times. Mm-hmm. Like the dry heat there is like too much, but you say that, and then it gets to like, single digits, and it's like, well, maybe 50 is not so bad.
Yeah. But 50 is great. I'm happy with 50 out here. I'm just sick of 85 in December. I want some Christmas weather. But anyway, I was going to wait to get into it later, but you brought it up right off the bat. So is it looking like Glennon's a go? Because we heard earlier in the week, it was looking like Jake Fromm, and all of a sudden I heard, I think yesterday, that Glennon's trending up and might play. How's it looking out there in New York?
So different LA team, similar storyline I got to talk about on here. Last time it was Daniel Jones coming off the Dallas game. We didn't know if he would play. He was shell-shocked, threw 1,000 picks, fumbled the ball. It was ugly. I think Mike Glennon would have done that without an injury designation. But here we are debating it. I don't know what's better, even if he doesn't play, if Jake Fromm would be magically better. I haven't seen Jake Fromm play since his college days at Georgia. I know there's some preseason tape on him out there somewhere, but I don't know, man. It's Glennon's leaning like he's going to play. Like I said, he just, he doesn't want to go away. Seems like he's doing everything he can to pass the protocols. It's still today is Thursday. So we got probably one more practice to go to really find out, but you don't know with these injuries, man. I didn't think Danny was going to play the first time around, and he ended up coming around. You see tonight, I don't know when this is releasing, but Dalvin Cook, he's like healing faster than anyone with his shoulder injury. He's going to suit up for the Vikings, it looks like. So I don't know. These injuries are tricky, but I don't think it matters, right? I don't think it matters that much with Glennon and Fromm, whoever starts.
So we talked obviously with the Rams game, and the Rams, I think, they had a bad 3-game stretch, but for sure when we talked about it, what was that, week 3 or 4? And then now, coming into where we are at this point in the season, I would say the Rams are still a top flight team. What's the thought out there on the Chargers? Because I think the Chargers are kind of a surprise this year, sitting at 7-5, had some good wins, had some bad losses. They're kind of an up and down team, but they can get hot on offense. They can shut you down on defense when necessary. What's the thought or the vibe? You don't have to get detailed. I'm sure you haven't watched them too much, but just just on the surface, what's the thoughts on the Chargers out there?
Well, I actually like rooting for the Chargers. I've watched a lot of them because I feel like, so I'm wearing an FTN Bets hat here. I work for a gambling company. Well, we're a sports media company, but I cover a lot on the gambling side. And the Chargers lines are always pretty favorable. I think this is probably one of their largest spreads of the year because, they're worst enemies themselves. And I feel like home and away doesn't really matter for them. They were a dog against the Bengals. They were able to lay the wood on them. And then it's like they lose at home to the Vikings, and it's just kind of all over the place. But they're above 500, which is good, and that's where you want to be. They're in a tough division, tough conference in general. But the Chargers are a good team. Like I feel like they have the pieces there. It's just, like I said, they're their own worst enemy. Before we came on the show, I think, this game is an easy breezy walk. And I know any given Sunday, but I feel like the Chargers don't lose this game unless Herbert somehow uncharacteristically lets the Giants defense get to him a little bit. That's probably the only silver lining you could see as a Giant fan right now.
Yeah, I think people would probably point to the Vikings games, but I think overall the Chargers beat the teams they should beat. And then they seem to play to their competition. If it's a big game, they kind of get up for it, except there was the big blowout to Baltimore. But they beat most of the the teams they should beat outside of that Vikings game, maybe. But this Giants game,
right. I was gonna say, I think the Chargers to me are like built to be a fourth quarter team, and they it's just not consistently enough won in the fourth quarter yet. Like I look at the Steelers game, like I watched that Steelers game. It just seems like sometimes it takes them a little bit to get going, and like when they get going, it's hard to stop them. Like it's really hard. I know Keenan Allen's got COVID this week, so maybe there's a chink in the armor there. But like when they're clicking, I mean, their offense especially, it's hard to stop. There's really no way to stop it. You can only kind of control it a little bit and maybe settle for a field goal.
Yeah. Once they get, the big thing we talk out here, I lay about all the time because there's, how fans are. There's weeks where everyone wants Joe Lombardi fired, the offensive coordinator, even though they're one of the top 5 offenses in the game in every statistical category and whatnot. But overall, when they get in a rhythm, they really are dynamic. And even fans will give credit to where credit's due. And, the play calling's been good and solid, I think, overall. Where do you, this is unfair to put you on the spot probably, but where do you put Justin Herbert among NFL quarterbacks? Do you see him top 10, top 5? Where do you kind of rank him at overall?
I mean, I could put him in a top 10 conversation for sure. I think it depends because quarterback's I think it's such an evolving position. Like, I don't know. I think his play style alone puts him in a top 10 conversation because he is kind of the complete package of what someone would look for. Like everyone drools over the Josh Allen like prototype, right? Like that's what you want. Big arm, able to run the ball, so on and so forth, and if you look at some of the best quarterbacks right now, other than, the magical, mystical Tom Brady over there in Tampa Bay, like everyone's kind of had that build. Giants fans were praying for that build with Daniel Jones. Herbert's got that. He runs, sporadically, like here and there, but when he does, he has success doing it. He did it in that Bengals game. And, in big games, he kind of shows up with that, but he has a huge arm. So I put him in the top 10 conversation for right now. I mean, it's still early, right? Second year. He hasn't really hit a sophomore slump. Maybe I'm not watching enough to see that. But if you can fight that sophomore slump, it just shows, continuous growth. So it's hard because, like, you can put, how are you going to compare Lamar Jackson to Justin Herbert is the conversation I end up having, right? It's like, it's so hard. It's so, some of these conversations, it's like pick your type, right? Pick your flavor kind of. And I like Herbert's style of play. I like his game a lot. And I take him over a lot of the young quarterbacks, probably top 3 of young quarterbacks in the game right now.
No, for sure. And I don't think he's had, a sophomore slump just to rattle off stats. He's first right. And this is in overall, not just in the young quarterbacks, first in QBR, 4th in yards, 3rd in touchdowns, 4th in yards per game, 13 in yards per attempt, 8th in rushing yards, which is kind of surprising. So, the stats are there to back it up. But the thing with Herbert that we've talked about, and again, you haven't probably watched a lot of him, is even he, like with this Chargers team, even he's been a little inconsistent. Definitely not a slump by any means. I don't want anyone to misheard me. But he's had some games where it's like, holy cow, let's compare him to Patrick Mahomes. And then some games where he throws for 50%, throws for 108 yards, has 2 picks, just never gets in that rhythm. And, part of that's defenses that they've played against have been very tough. Part of that, his receivers not helping him. I think they rank 2nd in the league right now in drops overall as a team. So that certainly doesn't help. So the big thing with Herbert for me, because I think the talent and skill is there to be top 5 this early on, which is crazy to say. I know only a year and a half in. But when you see games like last week against Cincinnati or what he did against Pittsburgh or some of these other games, it's like, wow, okay, there's the factor. Some of those throws, those John Elway type throws, boom, top 5. But it's getting it consistently because then you have games like he had against the Broncos, which was, they laid an egg against the Broncos. Games like he had against Baltimore, laid an egg against Baltimore. So it's getting that wave to be a consistent roll instead of the up and down crashing. And I think that when he gets to that is when he'll be in that top 5. It's still top 10, I think, for me, though.
Well, I think too, again, like I don't want to just compare him to Josh Allen, but you get a guy who was bottom of the league, like people were ripping Josh Allen his rookie year, not exactly the picture perfect start like Herbert. And then last year, why people were so enamored by him was that he was beating some of those top teams and he was the reason for those wins. And the Bills were infamously not that great and inconsistent in themselves. And he was the one to take him over over the hump. So I think he's in a great spot to really put himself in that category, just based on it's his team, and you can tell they kind of embodied it around him right now. Like when you go to watch the Chargers, you're going to watch Justin Herbert and company, basically. There is no question on, whose show it is. And I think that's big. I mean, that's kind of a start. And for a guy who's not even through 2 years in the league, it's a lot because you could look around the league and, Danny's never really had that. It is his show, but there's always, something. And then I don't know, just a guy I compare it to is like Baker Mayfield. It's like Baker is in that weird spot where, like you don't go to play the Browns and worry about Baker Mayfield, but like you want to treat him as such. And it's just like, no, I mean, when you go to see the Chargers, like Herbert could take over the game. And if he doesn't, you have a shot to beat him. But that's not going to happen this Sunday. That won't happen. Even though we have a good defense, I think Herbie's going to find a way to put some points up on the Giants.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head, and we both have said how the Chargers have been up and down. I said how Herbert's been up and down, but the team wins and loses based on Herbert, as you kind of mentioned. Like it's based on his performance, on what they do. And you talked about Baker, you talked to some of the other, Josh Allen. I also think of like a guy like Russell Wilson, who I know for years have had a really good running game, and everyone talks about the Seattle running game and what it was in the past. But for the last 4 or 5 seasons, that team is based on what Russell Wilson does. Not meaning he has to put up the hugest numbers, but if he has success, that Seahawks is a good team. If he either misses time or doesn't have success, it's a losing team. Look where they are right now, sitting at 4-8 because he missed time and hasn't played well in some of the other games. So similar to that, I think this Chargers team is absolutely predicated on the success of Justin Herbert. So when you look at this game for the Giants, you've already said you don't think they'd stand a chance, but hey, we'll break it down anyway. Why not? We'll take a few minutes and break it down. What do you think this defense needs to do to slow him down? Are they kind of just banking on hoping Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are out with COVID, or is there some things they can maybe do in the secondary to slow him down?
So we're so hot and cold, including the coaching staff. I think it kind of comes down to our DC and Patrick Graham. He's, he was beloved by Giants fans last year. He's kind of been up and down every other game. He has good weeks in soft zone. If we stay in soft zone against Justin Herbert, he's going to smoke us. But if we could somehow get our defensive backs, some of the shifty guys we have, Xavier McKinney's really coming alive right now. If you can get someone like him in the box, Aaron Robinson in the box, who's a rookie, and really pack things up and get some pressure off the edges, think you can keep him in the pocket and make him, have to throw the ball without Keenan Allen and kind of make him one-dimensional. I think that's the name of the game there. Make him take the deep shots to Mike Williams. Is Mike Williams playing? I think Mike Williams is back to normal, right?
He's a close contact, but didn't test positive. So I think more than likely he'll be a go. So he was close contact Monday. It's a 4 or 5 day protocol. So he should clear it Friday or Saturday.
So here's the thing. I will tell you where there's going to be action, and the person you should play in all your fantasy lineups, obviously you will play him, but even DFS, is Austin Ekeler. So the Giants, infamously this season, have given up dick and duck plays. Running backs are feasting in the receiving game against them. They just do this bend, don't break style where, they end up backing themselves into a corner, and more often than not try to hold you to a field goal or beat you in the 50s, right? You'll gain some yards on them. They'll surrender some yards, but that's about it. And they put you in a predicament. Like, do you go for it on 4th? It happens every week. Anyways, long story short, that being is because, and if you look at the Chiefs game, it was infamous for this. They're just going to clear everyone out past about 6 to 8 yards. And if you have a talented enough running back, I mean, you're going to move that at clips. It was easy. It was easy. And I think if they get Ekeler, involved on the Charger side of things, it's your recipe for success. And if I'm the Giants, with how things are shaking up, as much as you want to make Herbert one-dimensional, I think you have to find a way to take Ekeler out of the game. Just like looking at it through there. It's their biggest weakness. And if Mike Williams, he goes, doesn't go, I mean, you have Bradbury covering him. Doesn't seem like Keenan Allen's going to go. Who's the only one left, really? They can't guard tight ends. Tight ends are going to feast against them. But I think you guys live or die this game with Austin Ekeler. I think he's going to feast. But if I'm the Giants, got to find a way to slow him down because he lives off those flat routes. He lives off catching passes and just making something out of nothing. And the Giants have been vulnerable to that all season long.
Hey, LA football fam, don't go anywhere. We are going to be right back with the remainder of this interview. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the LA Football Show here on the LA Football Network and AM the Mightier 1090. We are so happy that you are with us on your Friday commute, drive, chilling in the office, still at home, wherever you may be. We certainly appreciate it. Show is brought to you by our friends at MyBookie. If you're a gambler out there or you want to test the waters, head to mybookie.ag, use the promo code LAFB. They're going to double your welcome bonus. Win some money this holiday season. You know, parlay bets are a good way to do that. You can bet little, win big. mybookie.ag, promo code LAFB. All right, let's jump right back into this great conversation I'm having with my guy, Tino. So, yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, he's almost averaging 100 yards a game in overall yards between rushing and passing. So that's definitely a predicated in their offense in general, running that similar, Saints style offense where Alvin Kamara has been so good in that Sean Payton scheme, and Lombardi's brought that here with some wrinkles, obviously, but they want Ekeler to be that style of running back. And unfortunately, what's kind of hurt him a little bit is some turnovers. I mean, he's had 2 fumbles last week, one of those coming off a catch. He's had some passes go off his hands that have turned into interceptions. So how is the Giants defense in terms of turnover category? Are they an opportunistic defense or not so much?
As of late, they have been. Xavier McKinney, like I mentioned, is, a focal point to that. He's taken over the safety position. Logan Ryan's now healthy, so those are the two manning those positions. Jabril Peppers is out. Yeah, I mean, that helps. We have a lot of young guys stepping up. Azeez Ojulari just set a rookie franchise record. He has 6.5 sacks this season. Yeah. It's nice to see that. They've been opportunistic. We haven't really scored off turnovers. I don't think we've actually capitalized much on turnovers, but I'll tell you this. I was at the Eagles game and saw firsthand what they were able to do to a guy who relied on his legs way more than anyone, but, relied on his legs and made him one-dimensional in Jalen Hurts, and he had to pass the ball, and he had a really long day. So, that's the game plan for the Giants. You kind of have to try to do that with, every remotely mobile quarterback that you can. And, that's not to say Herbert's not strong-armed. It's just, you kind of have to pick your poison. It's what it is. And it's interesting, though, with Herbert, and that's why I give him credit. That's why I think he's so good, because he's selective with how he uses his legs. He has it there, but he doesn't rely on it as much as Josh Allen does, which is why I think, as much as everyone compares him to Allen, I think he has like the potential and the position track to really actually be a better overall player than him over his career. Just, on him taking care of himself, not so vulnerable with turnovers, so on and so forth, that Josh Allen isn't so great at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Herbert early in his career was, I'm not saying he was afraid to, but just didn't utilize it. And then finally the coaching staff was like, hey, if it's not there, take off and run. Don't force a throw. You're athletic, use it. And we've seen that the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's paid dividends. I mean, he had over 100 yards, I think, rushing against Pittsburgh. He's actually about to break the Chargers season record for rushing yards by a quarterback, which, he's only at 300. So it shows how many mobile quarterbacks the Chargers have had throughout their history. But definitely a nice tool to have in the belt when you can utilize it. Shifting quickly over to the offense, I don't freak out at me on this question. I'm basing it just on production. All right. Not on talent or anything. Is Saquon Barkley still a top flight running back?
I like all these top 5 questions because it's super hard, and I try to answer them vaguely anyways. No, I will say he's not a top 5 running back.
You don't have to go top 5.
No, well, he's a top 10 running back. It's just like running backs have such short shelf lives. I think Saquon's not himself. I just think he's not himself. It's very apparent. I followed the guy since college, and so you just saw what he was getting coming out of college, going into his rookie season, and he's just not that right now. He's bouncing around a lot, not really seeing holes. The offensive line obviously doesn't help him, so I'm sure he's overthinking things. He's not just running. it's tough right now in terms of talent. Absolutely. I mean, Saquon's one of the most, he's a top 3 talent in the league, at the running back position. But for me, his injuries are a problem now. And it's not that it's not the injuries themselves, but at this point for the Giants, the best ability is availability, health is wealth. Saquon's going to look for money. And, how do you give a guy, how do you pay a guy max money, which, on these running back contracts, we have learned doesn't really turn out anyways, right? It's not a great investment. And, the Rams would know that more than anyone. And, he has already a poor track record of staying on the field to begin with. So it's a really tough position. So for us, it's not even a question of the talent. It's just the entire situation is off with Saquon, and his play isn't helping. The health isn't helping. And the fact that he's in a decision contract year is just making things worse, I think.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because of just how talented he is and how that's played out with injuries, shuffling coaches, offensive line, quarterback play. Like it's kind of unfair to put anything on him. Like you don't want to see him leave. Obviously, he's kind of the face of your franchise, but you'd be curious to see what he'd do if he goes to a franchise that has all the pieces in place and he can just plug in and be the dynamic back that he is. But obviously, as a Giants fan, I'm sure you guys would not want that to happen. But hey, if it gets you a bevy of picks back, who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how many picks you get for a running back nowadays, though.
Well, I mean, how many picks can we have in one draft? I mean,
you already have 2 first, right?
We're about to have 2 top 5 picks with the way the Bears are going. I can't wait to see us play the Bears. It's like the rich get richer. It's like the Giants play the Bears, I think, with 2 games left in the season. If they're in the top 5, one pick goes lower, the other goes slightly higher. Like, I don't know, as if it matters. They have a ton of picks next year. Yeah.
While we're on that topic, before we wrap up with, I got some receiver questions for you, but since we're on that topic anyway, is Daniel Jones the guy, or do you think they make a run at Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers with these picks they have next year?
I don't think Rodgers comes, and it's actually funny. That's just the abrupt answer. I don't think Rodgers is coming to New York. I'm not going to elaborate on that much. I think he's going. I feel like he'd go to like the 49ers or something, like something random like that. He's a SoCal guy. You guys like him over there, I think. If anyone likes him, you guys like him. Russell Wilson is interesting. He's been tied to the Giants forever. He's the one who's tying himself to the Giants, which is super odd. It's obviously, I think, more of the city and the vibe around it, and maybe more towards his brand and family than anything than football. Because if I were Russell Wilson, I would not want to come to New York. He cannot get protected and runs for his life in Seattle all the time. And I mean, we could fix it over the next year or two if we make some decisions at draft picks, but I wouldn't hold my breath. It's been over a decade, a little longer since we've protected our quarterbacks. So, yeah, I mean, I would love it. Do they make a run at him? I mean, maybe, but they're in a position to do it. It's just like they have so many other decisions to make. It's like I can't even think about the quarterback yet. Like trading a first to go get him. Everyone's freaking out about it. I personally don't want to trade those. I'd rather use one of those 2 first-round picks and trade up, get a defensive end and like Aiden Hutchinson, really just build on this defense, make it stronger. Why not? And then use the other first that you still have. Ideally, probably you trade back or whatever. You gain something to have a second, 2/3, 2/4. Like they have endless picks this year. Just use the rest on an offensive line and offensive weapons. Find an edge in the top 2 there, which is what it's looking like anyways, and go from there. I would not want to waste a pick on Russell Wilson, but I can't compare Russ to Danny. It's like Daniel Jones. You can't even put him in the same conversation as Russell Wilson, and injuries are another thing. There's so many arguments in Giants world going on that if you check out Clapback Sports, the last episode was 2 of my friends just yelling at each other and me in the middle saying, this is about right. We saw this happening just at the start of every New York Giants season. Think of worst case scenario, wait about 6 to 8 weeks. And the worst case scenario probably happened a few times, right? So there's so many decisions to make. I'd love Russ on the team. People are torn just on that fact. I think it matters what you give to get him, and they need to figure out a lot of things before they decide on the quarterback of the future. It's just there's so much going on.
Well, and it seems like with the state of where that franchise is and the pieces you have, it does make more sense doing exactly what you said. Rolling with Jones is going into year 4 next year.
Yeah. I mean, you have him under control too. Like you wouldn't have to inherit Russell Wilson's whatever $30+ million contract. I think it's like 35 plus at this point. So and they don't have money next year to really inherit.
I was going to say
they'd have. Yeah,
I was going to say the realistic thing about it is it came out on Wednesday. I don't know if it was from his camp or a reporter. I can't remember who it was, but came out that the 3 teams that he would waive his trade clause was New Orleans, New York, and the Broncos. But going into next year with the cap raised, so this is based on them actually raising the cap to $208 million. The Saints will be at like negative 60 in cap space, negative 60 million in cap space. The Giants will have like 4 or 5, and the Broncos will have 50. Just based on that, it's like it's set up for the Broncos to be able to go get him. And they have the money, they have the team built. Like they're a quarterback away, I think, from really being a dynamic team. And can you imagine the AFC West with Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson, and Derek Carr's your worst quarterback? Said you want about him, but that's not a terrible worst quarterback in the division.
Wait, you're telling me Aaron Rodgers isn't going to the Raiders? I remember that storyline all off season. Is he going back to Green Bay? No, he wants to go to Vegas. I'm like, why would he want to go to Vegas? Yeah. If it's possibly an option, but yeah, that the AFC West would be showtime, but it'd be a super tough division. I guess it would be the SEC, like we talked about before. That might be the new super conference if that's the way that goes. I mean, at least at quarterback, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. So interesting to see. But yeah, I think it makes more sense for the Giants to do what you said, roll with Jones one more year. They have the option to pick up the 5th-year option so that, the cap's allocated there. And then the next year's draft class for quarterbacks might be better. Who knows? You got to see year in and year out. So
do you like any of the quarterbacks in this year's class, by the way? That's a random question. You throw me on the spot.
No, yeah, I haven't dove in a ton, so I'm not willing to say like, oh, this is a guy I'm building my franchise around. But Kenny Pickett, obviously, I think has a lot of talent, up for the Heisman out of University of Pittsburgh, and has that dual threat kind of ability. Wouldn't call him a running quarterback, but can certainly be like Herbert, run with his legs.
With his fake slide, his little fake slide,
the fake slide, right? Little shyster over there. So, he's intriguing. I think Matt Corral, is it Corral, however you say it, out of Ole Miss, seems like an intriguing option. I think the kid out of Nevada is an interesting like day 2 pick, like 2nd round pick that has kind of the tools there that you can maybe build around. Carson Strong is his name. So I don't know. I haven't dove in enough, but there's not a guy that I'm like, boom, that's a guy you're building your franchise around.
I think this year is going to be the ultimate test of how overrated taking a quarterback in the 1st round really is, because you're going to see like there's always a quarterback needy team, and like just the way the draft has become is just all quarterbacks all the time in the 1st round. It's like that with receivers too. They'll never learn their lesson on receiver. They just fall. How many did we take last year? 7. Let's take 9 this year. Like I don't know what the obsession is, and most of the time it does not pan out. I was going to mention on Kenny Pickett, I haven't been able to say this anywhere because I haven't mentioned that slide. I'm all over the place with sports, but everyone who's upset about Kenny Pickett's slide, Michael Vick did it better, and he did it first. I'll never forget. There's an infamous play. He did it so much smoother. He basically slid and just like spun out and scored a touchdown. Good for him for pulling it off. Just people are ridiculous. It's just, I think that was the funniest conversation I saw. It's like, oh, fake slide. It's like, oh, you got cracked. It's like, do better.
People are saying it's like bad for the game and it's like unfair. And it's like, all right, maybe it's a little like, a little shicey or whatever, but defenders remember that. And like, okay, I'm going to punch you in the mouth next time you're out in the field.
Exactly. They're only saying that because of how they've changed the rules, especially in college football with targeting and hitting quarterbacks in the open field and defenseless players. Fine, but like that's what it is. It's like the only way that rule or a fake slide will change is that defenders are just going to run through these guys now, and we'll see what the call is, right? So, and we know what the call will be. So then things have changed, but it's football. That is just modern day football for you.
Yeah, so. I get it from a defensive player's stand. Like it sucks, but I'm for it. It's a game. Come on, sometimes you just gotta have some fun. It wasn't a game I cared about. So it's like, oh, let's go. This is sweet. If
he's got to pull it off too, right? Like he's got to do it. Like it's easier said than done. It's like I don't know. Like give the guy credit, and he's a white quarterback running. Like let him be. Yeah, he's got moves. You were talking about you're like the Chargers haven't had many. You're like the Chargers haven't had many mobile quarterbacks. I'm like, Phillip Rivers. I had Eli. That's why the franchise doesn't have many rushing stats. I'm sure Daniel Jones, if he just stayed able-bodied for a year or two, and you passed that by a mile.
Yeah, if you could get out of the way of the turf, you'd have even more yards. So, all right, let's wrap it up with this. Looking at your receiving core, it's been banged up all year, but so is the Chargers secondary. Asante Samuel Jr. is still in the concussion protocol, so don't know if he'll be a go. Mike Davis has been banged up. Alohi Gilman and the back end has been banged up. Chris Harris Jr. right now is in the COVID protocol. Like I said earlier, I believe he'll be a go because he was just a close contact, non-positive test. So he should be good to go. But right now he's still in the protocol. So they're banged up. So for Chargers fans out there, though, who do they need to be worried about in this receiving core? Is there anyone, or has it been that rough of a go? I know they have added some pieces in the offseason, but who should we look out for?
The Giants haven't had a skill position player score a touchdown in over, I think, a month and a half now. So no one. The answer is nobody. Andrew Thomas. How about that? Is that an acceptable answer? I think Evan Ingram has 2 touchdowns this year, and that kills me to say it. That's the most. It's tough sledding here, man. Whoever's alive, really. I mean, like, all jokes aside, they're all hurt. If you just go to the depth chart, everyone has a Q next to their name. So really, whoever's playing, it's got to be the focus. Tony left with an oblique injury today at practice. He's not going to play. I assume he's not going to play. Galladay, forget it. It's a rib, it's a hand, it's a leg. It's like every body part. That man has glass bones and paper skin too. Shep, I don't know what's going on with Sterling Shepard. I don't know. At this rate, maybe Darius Slayton. It's probably downfield, just cover downfield on Darius Slayton, but he'll just probably drop the ball on himself anyway. So it doesn't matter, man.
So what you're saying is for Chargers fans, if Chris Harris Jr. and Asante Samuel Jr. are still out, there should be no concerns. Giants should not move the ball through the air.
No, it's got to be through the tight end, play action, and somehow Saquon Barkley. That's it. In between the box, they still go like 12 personnel, and they can't run the ball. So it's like, I don't know what they're gonna do, man. Like Kyle Rudolph, it's deflating. Just getting through the rosters.
You're getting more depressed as we go on. So
we score 17 points a game, Ryan. We score 17 points a game, so you'll be all right.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna be okay.
Chargers put up 42 or 41 last week. So, but offense is up and down. So, I see where it's going, but give me a score prediction. What do you think in this one?
We'll go.
Since you're a betting man,
30 to 10. 30 to 10. I'll give us a touchdown. We'll kick a field goal. 30 is a weird number for you guys. Yeah, I'll go 4 touchdowns and a safety at this point. So we'll get to 30 for you. You beat us by 20. Very generous. I think the defense shows some pride. Hopefully, again, this is a sugarcoating, so that means 42 to 10. But yeah, raise the spread. If you really feel good about the Chargers, here's my gambling tip. Don't take it at 10.5. The Giants can't score touchdowns. Make that a touchdown number. You can bring that up to probably like 13.5, maybe get close to plus 200 on that. And I think that's a better way to bet it, if I were to bet it.
Yeah, it's set at plus 10 right now. So, and the over, I believe the over is 43. So 30 to 10, you'd be under that. So you take the under.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Giants aren't going to score. They're just not going to score point. Like, they're not going to score more than 10 points. It's sad. It's a sad truth, but it's just what it is. Again, unless Saquon has a coming out party, which I just don't foresee happening, they'd have to change a lot. Like, they'd have to call some guys up in terms of offensive linemen, and that would have to click in order for anything to get going. But I'm sure the Chargers, are they relatively good against stopping the run? I'm sure that's.
They're still technically ranked dead last against the run. However,
so there might be some hope.
But however, I predicate this all the time because if you just go to like ESPN stats, they're ranked last, but they were so bad the first like 5 weeks of the season that the yards they gave up per game was so high that even though now they're like, if you break down the last like 6 games, they're in like the top 15, but they're still last because of those first 5 games. So they're relatively, I would say, middle of the pack against the run now.
I was gonna say I didn't think they were that bad. But
they're better now.
Okay. So, anyways, that's the only.
Your point holds though. Yeah,
but still, you're banking on Saquon scoring probably 2 touchdowns then, and that's only 14 points. So I don't see where anything else comes about. But yeah, man. So we'll go 30-10.
Okay, 30-10. Whether it's Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm, I don't think it changes a whole lot. We'll see. But hey, it's still Sunday. I might be there. I don't know for sure yet. I got to invite my good buddy Dan. Invited me to the game. Can't find a sitter for my daughter, so I'm like, she's 18 months. Tino, what do you think? Is she old enough to bring to the game?
Just get one of those. Get the earmuffs. You gotta get the earmuffs on her,
right? I just feel like it'll be a nightmare for me just holding her for 4 hours.
Well, if you're sitting down, it'll be all right. Do you have one of those front little strap-on things? I think that'd be all right. I mean, it seems like. Yeah, listen, I don't know. I don't. You're talking to a 26-year-old here who I can't think of a child yet, so you would know more than me. But it seems relatively comfortable. You'll sit down. Just be careful when you stand up to celebrate. That's the only thing I would say. But I think you're all right. She's not. Just get the earmuffs.
My concern with her is she's a wild child. She wants to run around. She doesn't sit still. So I feel like I'm gonna get in there. We're going to get to our seats. 5 minutes go by. She's going to be doing 360s in my arms, trying to run. I'm like, we can't run around the stadium. That's unsafe. So I feel like I'm going to end up in the concourse the whole game while she's just running around and I'm just like eating a dipping dots, just like enjoying it from the screen.
So here's the silver lining in that, though.
Free though.
This is a game, though. Yeah, it's free, and this is a game that it's not that competitive. You won't necessarily want to be in your seat the whole time, if that makes you feel better, right? It's a good thought.
Right.
You can make a day out of it for the memories, for the pictures.
Yeah,
think about that.
Her first game, right? Yeah. I told my buddy, I'm like, ask some of your other buddies if they want to go, because I feel like I'm not going to be as fun as they will. If no one will go with you, then yeah, me and Mia will join you. We'll tag along and we'll make a day of it. So we'll see.
Well, you're going to see a win. You'll get her first win. You can rarely guarantee a win in the NFL, and I think this might be a guaranteed first win. 1-0, she'll be undefeated.
There you go. Yeah, we'll call her good luck, but it's just the Giants. It's just you coming on the show that I think that's good luck, but we'll see. But Tino, my man, you can find him executive producer at FTN. Love you, brother. Thanks for always taking the time, and you're one of the best, dude. Hope you stay well and enjoy the holidays and the new year, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I see the Christmas tree. Merry Christmas.
That's right.
Or
you like that?
Whatever.
Got a little
happy holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That is really nice.
So, all right, bro. Where can everyone find you at?
At Tino Rodriguez _FTN. That we could just wrap it up. You got this. I don't want to extend the ending. Just follow me on Twitter. That's where all the content is. And thanks for having me.
There you go. My man. Appreciate you, bro. Take care, right? All right, that's going to do it for the LA Football Show. Another Friday, another hour flying by, another great guest, another great time talking LA football with you guys. Thank you so much for, taking time out of your day to tune in and hang out with me. You can find me on Twitter at Ryan Dyrud, LAFB. Follow me there. Hit me up there. We'd love to talk to you. Let me know any questions you want answered for future shows or whatnot. Holiday Bowl. For those San Diego listeners, at Petco Park this year, UCLA Bruins will be facing the NC State Wolfpack. I will be there in attendance. So any of you guys listening, I'd love to meet up. Let's grab a beer beforehand and let's root on the Bruins. I don't know how many Bruins fans are in San Diego, but if you're traveling from LA, we can meet up. If you're in San Diego listening and you want to, follow more LA football or have more LA football conversations, let's link up. Love to meet up before the game and talk about the chances and a lot of stuff swirling right now with UCLA, with Chip Kelly in Oregon, on their coaching search. So it's going to be crazy to see what kind of happens in the next few weeks. We will be there. Thank you all for tuning in. LAFootballNetwork.com, or excuse me, LAFBNetwork.com. We are the LA Football Network. Find us on YouTube at LAFB Network. All the socials at LAFB Network. I'm Ryan Dyrud. Have a great weekend. Enjoy this weekend's slate of games. Peace.